Hey guys, shalom. I'm doing okay. As long as I'm distracted, busy, I'm mostly okay. If I'm not, well, actually, even when I'm busy, I tend to get emotional, but one day at a time. One day at a time. I really appreciate the prayers. I definitely feel them. And I was really blessed. Last night, I got to go to Shabbat Bible study. I always love that. Just studying more about the Lord and His Word. Yes, you can experience sorrow and still love the Lord like crazy. It's how we are. Or we can be. But anyways, we talked about a lot of different topics. Of course, we always do. One of the things that came up, though, was that there was from Ben Shapiro this idea that Trump is like Noah. Hold on a second. Now, Noah, as we know, had people brought on the boat, his family brought on the boat. The rest of the generation was evil and ended up in the flood. Yes, we have evidence of the flood, like the flood, not just a flood, the flood. Just so you know. I know there's people who are going to say, no we don't, but yes we do. We have come to a point now, there is more than enough evidence that the earth was in fact flooded. So anyways, I've heard different perspectives on how people think Trump is. That one was a new one for me. Don't know how I feel about that. God, of course, is our savior. But it did bring up an interesting thing as far as the fact that recently Trump, has talked about how we should not have minors having these changing of gender surgeries, which I agree with. I mean, when you become an adult, I don't want you to have to go through that, but an adult, that's an adult. But children who are still finding themselves, tomboys and boys that maybe like dance, and other boys are teasing them for being gay or whatever when they're not. I agree with that we should not have minors be able to have gender changing. So I'm thinking about that because, and this kind of came up because when I thought about the Noah perspective, I thought of how, after the flood, God put his rainbow in the sky for how he won't flood the earth. He had wiped the earth clean, so to speak, and he had this rainbow in the sky. And now we have, in recent years, people who are gay, lesbian, queer, I don't know all the different names and terminologies. They have used the rainbow to identify. And it's like, and I know the little kids, they don't know, they don't understand. But then adults too, there's plenty of adults that don't understand, but that is a direct mockery of God himself. Because the Lord, that's his symbol, that's his symbol of cleansing. Now, here's the thing, I will say this, I think I've talked about this before, but a little bit more is that I'm not happy with the fact that in the believing community, so much of the community doesn't have the knowledge that they should have in regards to the fact that there are people born with, the opposite gender than what they're placed as on their certificate body parts. I listened to a young lady, and she's a healthy-minded young lady who expresses how she was in fact born with some male body parts. Now, she wasn't forced to be anything different, but in regards to her other genetic or makeup, as far as who she was a girl, and she's very adamant to identify as a girl. I mean, that's how she's composed of. But in terms of her body, yes, she was born with some other male body parts. So I wish more of the community of believers was aware of that, because we're talking about a whole entire group of people who then are trying to find their place in society. But that is a separate matter than the mental illness where you are biologically a male and you say, I am for sure a woman. Like entirely this mental illness that we've had with gender identity has swept across the nation, the world, to the point that is glorified, and it's heartbreaking. And I realize that, you know, we can't tell people, we can't tell adults what to do, but our children are vulnerable, and I am just so pleased with the fact that even though there's a lot of things I don't appreciate that Trump says or does, I appreciate that he wants to end the children, the minors getting the gender change. Because again, it goes back to this too, that you don't know who you are when you're a kid. I remember when I was like maybe 3 or 4 years old, just learning how to speak, and I asked my mama, I said, how do you know I'm a boy? Because I was just a little kid. Or how do you know if I'm not a boy? My mom's like, I just know. You know, because you're a kid. You're learning about yourself. You don't know anything. You're a kid. So I'm just I don't think that Trump is Noah, but interesting terminology, interesting thought process, and I definitely do know that our country is suffering with this identity issues for sure. But loving people, no matter how they identify, is a huge, huge important thing to healing as a country, as a people. Because even if someone is identifying wrong, they understand they are mentally ill, and you need to love them. It's not, you don't need to just hit them over the head with, you know, this says this in the Bible. You do need to tell them what it says in the Bible, but love is the answer. It's nothing but love, actually. That's all that we need to give. Ammi? So that's all I want to say. I love you all. Interesting topic. Share your thoughts below. Shalom, shalom.